Hello, everyone. My name is Ryan Cam. Welcome back to the Reiner Project, where myself and Russell Howell are going through the filmography of the late, great Rob Reiner. And we now get to, in my opinion at least, a true curiosity in Reiner's filmography.
Yeah, it definitely gets a little interesting here, for sure. I know this is first time watch for both of us.
Yes, we'll touch on why this is a curiosity, but and I'll touch more on this, but I just want to set the tone and say that I think this represents a bit of a turning point for Reiner because after this, he mostly directs romance stuff and comedies and lighter fare. He touches on he does an LBJ biopic and Shock and Awe, so he definitely goes back to more serious stuff. But I feel like after this moment, he kind of turns away from this more serious fare and goes into more of the comedy romance angle. Not necessarily anything wrong with that, but it's interesting to note nonetheless.
Yeah, I mean, I think it's because at this time, think about it. I mean, he's covered pretty much a lot of different, pretty much every genre really can at the time. You know what I mean? So he's kind of done everything. So it's kind of one of those things where it probably goes back to something he feels a little bit more comfortable with, I would say.
Yes, I agree. But without any further ado, let's get into it. If you like the video, like, comment, subscribe. Subscribe on Spotify, leave a rating there. We would greatly appreciate that. But let's get right into talking about Ghosts of Mississippi.
Think about her keeping this thing alive all this time. Imagine a woman loving a man so much.
Medgar, I've gone the last mile of the way.
This was released in 1996. It's a big theme on the channel this year. It starred Alec Baldwin, Whoopi Goldberg, James Woods, Craig T. Nelson, a very young Lucas Black, and William H. Macy, among others. This is based on the truly unfortunate true story of the murder of Medgar Evers, who was a civil rights activist who in 1963 was shot in the driveway of his home by a man named Byron De La Beckwith, played in this movie by James Woods. De La Beckwith gets away with it via 2 mistrials in 1963. Leap forward about 25 years, a young DA named Bobby DeLauder, I could have sworn I thought it was DeLaughter, but apparently it's DeLauder, played by Alec Baldwin, basically by accident takes up the case and carries it the rest of the way. And the movie covers the retrial of De La Beckwith, the relationship that he has, he being DeLauder, pronouns pal, with Medgar Evers' widow, played by Whoopi Goldberg, his soon-to-be ex-wife, played by Virginia Madsen, and just the investigation and the subsequent court case. The only thing I knew about this one, Russell, was that this movie came out, I believe, around the same time as Beavis and Butthead Do America, and Siskel and Ebert loved Beavis and Butthead, but they hated this. So that's an interesting footnote.
Yeah, and I was there opening weekend for Beavis and Butthead Do America. I believe it came out in December of '96, if I'm not mistaken. I think it was
December 20th. I'll correct myself in the edit later if I'm wrong. But
I'm pretty
to
sure.
make a long story short, and I covered this in my last 96 project video that I just did, the 96 especially was stuffed to the gills with just bland, flavorless dramas. But this is not one of them, though. We'll get to that. But the point is that there were a lot of dramas with these big-time actors at the time, and they just kind of start to blend together for me. I could do a whole video talking about that, but this could have easily been one of them. But this definitely has its moments. It's not Reiner's best, but it has its moments. I'll just leave it at that for now.
Yeah, I mean, like I told you when we weren't shooting, I think it's one of the ones that it just suffers from being a little bit long. I think it's 2 hours and 10-minute runtime. I think if you could shave like 25 minutes off of it, I think it'd be more, you know what I mean, concise than like a $1:45 runtime.
Yes, the opening hooked me from the very beginning because you see the titular assassination, you see the 2 mistrials, you see De La Beckwith seemingly get away with it, and they have the whole ticker tape parade for him. And then like someone asks him, "How do you feel?" It's like, "I have tears in my eyes." And we smash cut to Whoopi Goldberg, who has literal tears in her eyes as she is literally cleaning the blood from her husband off of their driveway.
Yeah, it's quite.
That hit me right there. That
Oh,
was just.
I mean, it's quite crazy at the times that we lived in, and just the things that people could get away with for that amount of time. You know what I mean? It's quite crazy.
Yes. Quite unfortunately, yes. And I feel like Reiner was trying to go for with this the whole like we like to pretend that we're better than our past, but in ways past comes back to haunt us, like especially in the present, because it starts out in 1989 and it bleeds into 1990. But in there's still a lot of, I guess, pride, I guess, for lack of a better term. Like DeLauder's wife at the time is named Dixie.
Yeah.
Do you get it?
Yeah.
But, and he being DeLauder, pronouns pal, sings to one of his children, the "Way Down South in the Land of Cotton," that song. So there's a lot of that DNA still woven in there. And then when the case gets fired up again, it just reopens a lot of old wounds and a lot of rather old prejudices. So in terms of atmosphere, just like 10 out of 10 no-nos.
Oh yeah, I mean it's a lot more of a serious, stance. Obviously, Reiner has with this one. It's a lot more personal. And I do like you said, it is funny, like how you said about revisiting the sins of our past or whatever, you know what I mean, just to make sure that we don't make the same mistakes again. And I don't think DeLauder himself was racist. I think it's just it's just basically, and I'm not just over just kind of generalizing, but it's almost like it's just always ingrained in the South DNA. Obviously you have your Confederate flags, you have your like you said, the Dixie cotton references and stuff like that. It takes some time to kind of separate yourself from all that, being just so far removed from obviously that now. But back then in the 90s, I mean, that was only 30 years ago, prior. So it really wasn't that long ago. So it's actually the same amount of time we are now as opposed to the 90s. So it's, what I mean? So it's pretty much the same time frame there.
Yes. And yeah, like you said, DeLauder's definitely not a racist person.
Yeah.
If anything, he just didn't really know any better. He didn't even know who Medgar Evers was until his widow just showed up in his office, not his office, but the office where he works.
Yeah.
And he's just like, how do I not remember this? He just keeps saying he was 11 when it happened and he still doesn't remember. So it's one of those things where, and it's interesting because I stumbled upon this interview that James Woods did. We'll get to him in a second. But what James Woods did with Charlie Rose around the time that the movie came out. Okay. And he was talking about how the real Dale Beckwith is not in a Mississippi prison because they would probably kill him in there. Yeah. So he's in this infirmary to carry out his life sentence. And he was talking about that. And then this little girl asked James Woods for his autograph. And he's like, yes, of course. And she's like, what movie are you making? It's like, it's about the life of Medgar Evers. And she was like, who? Yeah. So there's kind of an art imitating life kind of thing going on here.
I might even just call it I think a good way to describe it is blind ignorance, maybe.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I agree.
Just because of the fact that if it doesn't impact us culturally, I think it's one of those blind ignorance type things. You know what I mean? It was pretty much like DeLauder's character. You know what I mean? Kind of like what they alluded to in the film. They didn't have black friends. They didn't have, they didn't go sit next to people in church that were black. You know what I mean? So for me, the whole entire segregation type thing really wasn't part of their DNA. But again, it was blindly ignorant. It wasn't deliberately being, racist or anything like that. I think it was, like I said, blind ignorance. I think would describe that pretty well. But you really do see and I think this is pretty this is some of Baldwin's best acting I've seen.
Yes. Like,
Yeah,
he really shines like a diamond here, and
yeah,
I feel like I covered a '96 film with him in it called Heaven's Prisoners. It's totally forgettable in my opinion. There was just
okay,
nothing to it right there, but, like, I feel like in the mid-90s, like, I feel like he was really on the come up, and he would have success before and after this, but he was in The Shadow in this
The
decade.
Shadow is
Like
good. Yeah,
he was really in his bag right here.
yeah,
And I feel like because Reiner has gotten so much out of so many so many other actors, I feel like this one kind of gets lost in the shuffle. But at a certain point, in the movie, I was just like, wow, he is actually quite good in this, because not only
yeah,
does this case pretty much costs him everything. Like, his wife leaves him, like he gets his kids, so that's something. But
yeah,
his boss loses respect for him, played by Craig T. Nelson. We'll get to him in a second.
yeah.
Like, his in-laws don't like him anymore. Well, his mother-in-law, I guess. And there's just like he loses a lot, but he gains a lot of respect in the
Yeah,
process, if that makes sense.
and I think the whole thing with the wife was more as like basically, why do you have to rock the boat? Our life is good here as is. Clearly not, because their marriage obviously fails. But to me, it's like Virginia Madsen's character, I guess, is just basically she is kind of racist if you think about it, because she doesn't want her husband to take on this case because he's going to be defending a black, and basically trying to put in prison a white male, which is like had never you never heard it. You know what I mean? So to me, it was like one of those things where like Virginia Madsen's character was deliberately ignorant, but DeLauder ends up finding true love with the one nurse or whatever from the hospital. So, be that as it may.
Yeah, it's funny. It's funny Madsen's in this, and I was
Yeah.
just thinking the whole time, the whole time I was thinking to myself, yeah, you can just go back to your ex. All you have to do is say his name 5 times, and he appears.
Yeah, there you have it. Done deal.
That's a Candyman reference for those that didn't catch that the first time.
Or she can go
But
to one country too, right? Sideways.
oh, that's right. Yeah, that is
Yeah.
very true.
Yep.
But then you get Whoopi Goldberg, and she was busy in 1996. I won't get too deep into it, but she was in Theodore Rex. She was in Eddie.
Yeah.
Like,
Eddie. Oh my God. Yeah. The basketball movie.
she was like everywhere this
Yeah.
year,
Yeah.
and she's good here. I've seen her be better, but like I think that she's generally good in most of the things that she is in. Like, Theodore Rex is quite unfortunate. I've only seen clips, and I just say to myself, wow, she said yes to that, but another story for another time. Point is, like, I think she's good here, but I think she's been better overall, if that makes any sense.
Yeah, I mean, for sure. I mean, this was definitely something that I could see Whoopi Goldberg being passionate about, obviously, i.e., your color purple and stuff like that. So that doesn't, to me, it's one of those things where that would probably be something she obviously would be on board with something like this. And kind of what you said, yeah, she has been better, but she's also been in the movie a lot more. Like she does like enough of this, but this is like Baldwin's movie pretty much. I mean, and James Woods, like when he's in the movie, obviously you just have to hate the guy.
Yeah, but let's just get into Woods, because I
Yeah,
mean, he just knew how to play a villain. Like,
yeah,
most of his roles that I've noticed have been like villains or villain adjacent, like Once Upon
yeah,
a Time in America, like
yeah.
Casino, I mean, Videodrome to a certain extent, but he's more the protagonist. But he was
Even
just
Hercules, even voice animated Hercules. Yeah, he's Hades.
I,
Yeah,
Hercules comes out the next year, so I wonder
yeah,
if he was either doing it around this time or had done it. It
yeah,
really makes you think.
yeah. It was probably right. It had to be right along because this was the back end of '96, and you know what I mean. So I think that would already probably be filming that. I would assume.
I didn't particularly care for the makeup, though. To me, he kind of looked like the grandfather from the original Texas Chainsaw Massacre, who's in
Yeah,
like the wheelchair.
yeah. I know what you're
I bet
saying. Yeah,
That's what I kept thinking of.
Yeah.
Like Woods is very good in this. Like you really like hate this guy, but at the
Oh,
same time, I'm just like, man, is he gonna look like James Woods the whole time? But then you see him in the makeup, and like, oh, that's unfortunate.
even in the remake of Straw Dogs, he plays like kind of like a bigot too.
Yeah, like I said, he just
Yeah.
he was good at playing villains. Like
Oh,
I
for
guess it
sure.
was just in his blood.
Oh, yeah.
But
He's such a
I
yeah.
think the biggest to your point that you mentioned earlier, I think the biggest overall problem is that the movie's too long. The movie's two
Yeah.
hours 10. You
Yeah.
could have sliced that off to like hour 45, like you said, and it would be fine. Like the nurse
Yeah.
stuff, I didn't particularly care for that. Like it was fine, but I think it could have just been like it could have been shorn off. Like there was also like 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 Delauder's car gets what's the name? Like that.
They get vandalized with the windshield getting broken. Yeah.
Yeah, like I get it. Like no one
Yeah.
likes him now because he's taking this case, but at the same time, like you could pretty much like I don't know, maybe do more
The phone
showing and
calls.
less telling.
Yeah, it could have been the
Yeah,
harassing phone calls. I mean, you get it. You know what I mean? Like the bomb thing, like you could have cut that out. I mean, you understand. Yes, he's a protective father, as any father would be with their kids, obviously, especially at this height of this type of case going on and the the brevity that, or the the levity that this case has. You know what I mean? In the South during this time where you do get people that are completely radicalized in hatred, yeah, and it's unfortunate, but yeah, you could have shown that in different ways and shorten it up a little bit more with like harassing phone calls or just like or notes or something like that, as opposed to just like kind of dragging it out a little bit. It's like we get it, we understand that, but let's the meat and potatoes is more of the movie itself with like the courtroom scenes and stuff like that.
it like this felt very Oscar bait to me. Like it feels like they were trying to like okay, trying our hardest to get at least Alec nominated and maybe Whoopi,
Yeah.
and just like there's definitely moments where like okay, if this were nominated, then this would be where like the preview reel begins,
Yeah.
and there was a best supporting actor nomination, so at least it did get that along with best makeup. Why? But it is what it is there. The movie underperformed. It only made 13 million on a 36 million dollar budget, so that's not good. So
Yeah.
this is like I said, this is a real curiosity because this is Reiner doing, it's a bit of a legal drama. It's a history. It's something that he's clearly very passionate about with some bigger stars, and it just didn't connect. Like I said, like the whole thing about like flavorless dramas and just the onset of it. Like I can name you like 5 that I've watched for the 96 project, and I just can't remember anything about it. And that's not to
Uh,
say anything about the quality of Ghosts of Mississippi, but
yeah.
I feel like maybe if it came out a year prior or a year later, like I think it would have been a little bit more better received.
But I honestly think it comes from having Vaseline in your shoes right now. So I think that's probably why it could be, because you can feel it squishing around when you walk, 1996, if you know, you know.
I
And
I was wondering if you were going to bring that up.
I was going fresh, hot lint. And then he goes, "What do you do?" "I believe I made love to it."
God.
Brett
But
Reynolds is so good at that. Sorry.
striptease, the things you do to me. But
Oh, that's
I
great.
think like I said though, with Ghosts, I feel like if this came out like a year prior or a year after, I feel like it would have gotten more attention. It would have been better received. I don't know. That could just be me, but maybe the whole like we've got stars and it's a very serious matter. Dramas were starting to just go the way of the dodo. It could just be me though.
But 95 was, I mean, that was deadlock for Braveheart. I mean, I don't see anything really dethroning that as a best picture. You know what I mean? But who knows? But who was nominated? Was James Woods nominated for this?
It was Best Supporting Actor, so I would
It had
imagine
to
it
be
would have
Woods.
been Woods. Yes.
Which is crazy because, like I said, like you said too, like I've never seen Baldwin. Like Baldwin was really damn good in this.
97, which is technically 96, is The English Patient.
Oh, which is I know
It
it's such a
won
great film.
Picture and Director. Jeffrey
Yeah,
Rush won Best
for
Actor
Shine.
for Shine.
Yeah,
Frances McDormand won for Fargo. Great choice.
another good
Uh,
one.
Actor in a Supporting went to Cuba Gooding Jr. for Jerry Maguire. William H.
Which
Macy
yeah,
got nominated for Fargo, which shout out to William H. Macy. He's in this as a guy
yeah,
with the last name of Crisco. And I was just like,
yeah,
oh, he's digestible.
yeah. I got you. Yeah.
And oh, James Woods, there he is. Yep, I
Okay.
dig him
Yeah.
up.
So to me, it's like if I'm going to nominate anybody out of it, I'm nominating Baldwin in it. I just think that just makes the most sense. But I understand villainous wise, I think he's great. He's ruthless in this film. I mean, even that the scene that the scene that I would probably call to as like the recap would probably be the one in the bathroom with DeLauder's character, kind of like getting in his head almost.
Right.
Yeah.
Like, and there was also like this phone call where it's like Dylan Beckwith is like calling him up and like, how did he get his number? Maybe he does have more connections than he's letting on.
Well, and that's why I felt he was so protected because he had so many connections, obviously. And this was a racist South at the time in the 60s, obviously. So they weren't going to let, a white man who killed a black man go to jail for it. Now, if it was the other way around, they would have had a field day on it. But of course, that was just, the sins of our past,
Yes. I think to wrap this up, this one is a genuine curiosity. Like
Yeah.
and it's a real turning point, like I said, because just kind of previewing, next up after this is a little movie called The Story of Us, which is about a marriage kind of
I just
getting
watched that last year.
destroyed.
Yeah.
Bruce Willis and Michelle Pfeiffer, with Reiner himself in a supporting role, but that's 2 weeks hence. For Ghosts of Mississippi, though, I'm going to give this a good rating. There's enough quality here to give it a modest recommendation. However, it's an investment, and I'll just leave it at that. It's a time investment, and it's not an easy watch. So,
yeah, no, but it is good. I mean, it's a good enough legal. I love a good legal drama, like a good legal film that's well shot. I just think, I mean, Reiner was. I appreciate the gumption, like of trying to tackle on a legal thriller, legal like drama. But at the end of the day, I think we could have shaved some time off of it. I think that's the biggest takeaway from it. If we could have shaved like maybe a half hour off, I think this would have been a really like tighter film. And you still could have conveyed what you wanted to convey in that film, which I mean, I think they would have done it either way. But at the end of the day, some really solid acting with Alec Baldwin, obviously, and then James Woods does some great heavy lifting too when he's in there. You definitely get the sinister side of his character. Yeah.
what
and
did
how
you
about
all think of Ghosts of Mississippi?
Real quick, sorry, real random. How about the daughter is one of the main girls in Spy Kids?
You know what? I did not catch that.
How about that?
I picked up on Lucas Black, but I did
Yeah.
not get her. No.
Well, the only reason why is because I get curious, and then I love watching movies on Amazon with the X-ray. Oh, it's fantastic. It's a game changer when I'm sitting there like wondering who people are, and then I go look them up on IMDb. Hand in hand, you have to have that 1-2 combo when you're watching movies. And then I'm like, oh my god, it's the main chick from Spy Kids. So yeah, so I just thought that was kind of crazy too, seeing her like way before Spy Kids.
Well, I learned something new today. That's a fun fact right there.
There you have it.
But have you seen Ghosts of Mississippi? What did you think about it? Let us know in the comments. Love to read what you have to say. And Russell, thank you so much for doing this with me. As always, tell the people where they can find you.
Yeah, always enjoy talking. Like I said, the Rob Reiner project, this is really fun. And obviously with our horror iceberg, our movie iceberg, that's always a fun time as well. But you guys can find us. Notorious by Chance is on Facebook. We are going to be putting polls up. We just shot another movie from the MCU, Phase 2. We shot Guardians of the Galaxy, so be on the lookout for that. But our latest poll episode that we're going to have takes us back to 20 years ago in the year 2006. So we're going to have 5 films that we have nominated for that we're going to have, you guys can vote on. And then whatever ones obviously we talk about. And then you guys can also find us on Notorious by Chance on YouTube as well.
Yep, all the links down below. Subscribe to them over there. As far as this channel goes, next Friday, Russell and I return to the Horror Iceberg, and we will take a look at VHS. No, I'm kidding. I'm totally kidding. We will be taking a look. We'll be taking a look at Grave Encounters.
We'll be looking at striptease.
2 weeks. 2 weeks from now, we will be taking a look at, like I mentioned, The Story of Us, which is a 99 film that I have not covered, so I get to fill in the blind spot there. But for Russell, my name is Ryan Cam. We will see you all in the next one. Y'all take care.